Anybody who wasn't here for the welcome class, welcome.
Somebody just mentioned Shrek 2 being the greatest sequel of all time. David Weiss worked on that film. Also, Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius, the Rugrats movies, the Smurfs, Disney's Disenchanted. Um, there's another movie coming out that he wrote on and directed called Hypergalactic. So that's how good David has, like, extensive feature film animation career. Um, David's combined box office exceeds $2.3 billion. Not too bad. But he also has like extensive TV experience. Uh, Co-head writer on the Rugrats TV show. Um, he co-wrote the Rugrats Hanukkah, which that's something that's important to a lot of people. He also has like a live action TV experience for on Sybil, Mission Hill, Roundhouse, and also live action feature films. Are We There Yet? Clock Stoppers. He was also like the producer and showrunner of Focus for the Family's like Story Keeper series.
I want everybody, if you've got a pen and paper nearby or your keyboard, I prefer pen and paper for this one. It's old school. There's been some research that shows that there's definitely a difference in learning that happens when we write things down with our hands versus when we write things down with a computer. And one of the proofs of this, you'll know, I have a journal. I have journals that I started keeping after my computer was going. And I have journals that I did by hand. When I read the journal entries by hand, I remember writing that stuff down. I know what it's going to say next. And this is stuff that's 35 years old. When I look at my computer entered stuff, I'm like, did I write that? Did that happen? When did I write that? When did that happen? I don't have any recollection of any of this. There is some weird link between the movement of our hand and where that puts things in our brain, the way our brain processes, the way the synapses, things go deeper in. It's part of that neurolinguistic programming sort of thing. Basics of storytelling, right? It started back in the cave days. People needed something to do. They sat around the fire and they told stories. And the people that told the most interesting stories frequently became the chief of the tribe, or at least the great shaman, the priest, the priestess, So what was it that made for a good story? That which made people lean forward. And what is it that makes people lean forward? Usually a dramatic question, conflict, emotion. These days, when we tell stories, people are looking for meaning and they're looking for purpose in their life. And if they can't find that, they're looking to forget their pain. And so, either way, storytelling has been this ancient, tried and true way to help us feel alive. So, Bob McKee's 11th commandment, thou shalt not take the conflict out of the hands of your protagonist. Stuff doesn't happen to your character. Things happen, and your character makes choices. Things happen, and your character takes action. Okay? But you can't just have a bunch of stuff happen to your character. I am going to ask somebody for the first word that pops into their head. So don't think of a word, because that won't be the first word. I need the first word. So a word maybe already popped into your head. Keep that word in mind. Steve is going to put that word on the board. Ladies and gentlemen, there's the word emerald. I'm going to ask more people for some words. I want people now to tell me the first thing that comes into their mind. Think of it now when you hear it, when I tell you what I'm going to ask you. And keep it in mind. Don't think hard. Just the first thing that you think of when you hear the word emerald. So what we're doing with this exercise is tapping into our subconscious, because we don't have any control over what words I was going to say, we're going to talk about, and we didn't have any control over what words you guys were going to say in response to those words. We're just randomly picking stuff. And our brains, there's been research on this, our brains like to find patterns. That's just the way the brains work. So if you see music to pictures, you tell a story to yourself that this music go to these pictures in some particular way. You just always are looking for a way to do a pattern. So let's go with this. We're looking at this thing. What we want to do is start looking for patterns. I'm just going to riff. You guys could do this however you want to do it. I'm just going to say what I would do. And I don't know exactly where it's going to go. But I'm going to take a couple of liberties. I need a character, right? So when I look at this, I have a couple of choices. This is, again, my brain works like it's an algorithm thing. You just process stuff and go, okay, well, what could be characters? There's a couple, and how many ways can something be a character? A nickname. If you go with nicknames, Then all of a sudden you could have a character named Shoes. Shoes is a funny nickname. Hey, Shoes, get over here. Why is Shoes called Shoes? Because Shoes has got a ton of shoes. Or Shoes has no shoes. He's barefoot. A guy who's bare. Again, this is the algorithm thing, right? Why would someone be named Shoes? And then you start typing all the reasons someone might be. It's like we're unraveling a sweater, right? That's how brainstorming can be. You guys want to be the person that people want to have around. That's how your career is going to really go. More, not as important and not more important than your actual talent and your material, but right next to it is, do people want you around? And beginners underestimate the importance of this thing. I think much of my career has been built on being personable and managing to keep my mouth shut at crucial moments. I've broken that rule at my great peril and expense on a couple of big occasions. And I don't think there's an example of where I've ever been happy I did that. So tip 43, and it's a random number just for fun. Be the person everyone wants in the room. Look for the yes, bring solutions, bring praise, and then be quiet. You'll notice this is one I'm still working on. It's hard for people to just end a sentence. There, I just did it. But it's hard. We want other people to nod or say yes, and then we can stop talking. But if we believe in what we're saying, we can just say, this is all I had to say. And that's powerful in conversation too. Dun, da, da, da! Steal from the best. Copy the masters. So for research, guys, research is everything. And it's not just research necessarily your world, because sometimes your worlds are completely made up and there's nothing to research, right? But at the same time, what you can research is, how is this genre done? How have people done this before me in a way that I don't have to reinvent the wheel? And there's a great book that we've recommended here called Steal Like a Thief. And the premise basically is there's nothing new under the sun. I once read Oscar Wilde's complete works, introduction to the complete works. I read many of his works, not all of them. But the introduction, some famous PhD guy was talking about how Oscar Wilde always got accused of plagiarism, that he just was stealing and borrowing from everything. And the PhD fellow basically said, that's his brilliance. There's nothing new under the sun. You're not going to think of something new. The question is, can you improve upon your theft? And people who try to be utterly original, according to this PhD, are the most boring people on the planet. There's an arrogance of thinking that somehow after 10 gazillion years and trillions of people running around, I'm going to be the one to come up with this brand new thing. No, do something original and utterly fresh by using the elements that exist in the world and filtering them through your experience. Know your genre, study the films that are in your genre, and the parallels are going to be okay because your characters are going to be different, your personality is different. Nobody will watch these movies and go, Smurfs is disenchanted and Tinkerbell, if you saw the pilot. Say hi to a friend on the screen, and we'll see you guys on Thursday. Thanks so much for.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, Josh.
Everyone.
Take care.
Bye, everybody.